The game of power. It is double pleasure to deceive the deceiver. Niccolo Machiavelli. Contents. 1. Introduction. 2. Bluffing. 3. Judgment, self-perception, and self-discipline. 4. Silence, underminers, and reputation platforms. 5. Legacy, family, and the economics of parental investment. 6. Concluding statement. 1. Introduction. Power is not confined to kings, dictators, or executives perched high above society. Those figures are simply the concentrated symbols of something that exists everywhere. Power saturates the social fabric, dictating hierarchies in every interaction. From the boardroom to the dinner table, everyone has a place in the pecking order. Sometimes that hierarchy is subtle, other times blindingly obvious. Power and popularity often feed each other. Some would argue popularity itself is a form of soft power, one that can either lead into or be reinforced by hard power. This dynamic inevitably brings us to the familiar chicken and egg puzzle. Which comes first? Regardless of the answer, both are inseparable forces. You can escape neither power nor popularity. Power is the social equivalent of water, unavoidable and necessary. With none, you have nothing. Having only a little is enough for survival, but not for living fully. With moderate amounts, you live comfortably. With excess, it corrupts, breeding narcissism, and, at its worst, sadism. So what should you care for? This is an introspective question in a culture obsessed with seeming not to care or with caring too much. In truth, everyone cares for the opinion of at least one other, and this is natural. Yet in the pursuit of social dominance, one must learn to outbluff the bluffer. He who shows the most composure and indifference often prevails in negotiation or argument. In the theatre of masks, the one whose mask cracks first loses. This is what the manosphere calls holding frame. From a Machiavellian perspective, he who maintains composure forces others to react to him. Indifference where anger is expected shocks the opponent and can overturn a power struggle. By letting it go over your head, you retain emotional independence, and with independence comes respect and dominance. He who sets the frame dictates the rules of engagement. He who reacts concedes inferiority. 2. Bluffing. A bluff is the holding of a deceitful frame to secure what you want. If you maintain it with congruence and without cracks in the mask, it pays dividends, enabling achievements your true self could not yet realize. At least until those themes are integrated into your natural personality, a process that takes time. This is the essence of fake it till you make it. Bluffs vary in depth and severity, shaped by who you face and what you seek. Some are minor, securing small favors, but when used consistently and incrementally, they can lead to significant shifts of power, instilling a sense of obligation in the mind of the bluffee. Once ritualized, the bluff becomes habit, and habit builds influence. Some bluffs are ostentatious, noticeable, and therefore more likely to provoke conflict. Such bluffs are tested more rigorously by those you seek to persuade or intimidate. Cumulative bluffing, however, works like systematic desensitization. It conditions others through repeated exposure, becoming a form of social conditioning. The strength of a bluff lies in its bold misdirection, implication, and plausibility. An implausible bluff collapses, offering no credible pretense of power. Thus, in the game of bluffs, half lies in deterrence and half in the ability to execute what the deterrent implies. Fear is the key instrument here, and no threat or promise must be empty. Fear can be instilled through many means. Physical, with the capacity for violence. Emotional, with the ability to overwhelm another's reasoning or stability. Or economic, with the power to deprive another of essential resources. A clear example of a bluff, even if unintended, is height. A man standing 6'2" is rarely challenged to fight, and when he is, challengers often back down if his size is reinforced with a congruent, menacing presence. Could he necessarily defeat a 5'5" man trained in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? No. Yet who is more likely to face challenges in the first place? The smaller man. Most people are too fearful to escalate with the larger one, as his stature alone bluffs greater strength than may exist. Biologically, it triggers the instinctive response. This man can overpower me. The challenger must wrestle with fear before making any rational decision. A shorter man cannot evoke this primal hesitation simply by standing there. He must demonstrate the ability to earn the same effect. Dominance by stature, what the military calls command presence, is a form of passive power denied to smaller men. They must instead project power through other means, such as wealth, wit, influence, or proxy strength. Here are some key points about bluffing and deterrence. Bluff versus deterrent. Bluff, usually aggressive, an attempt to project strength you may not truly have in order to push someone back. Deterrent, usually defensive, signaling that attacking or pushing you would carry too high a cost. But they can overlap. A bluff can sometimes be defensive, pretending you don't care to protect yourself. A deterrent can sometimes be aggressive, threatening punishment preemptively. Deterrence tools. One method is selective validation, operant conditioning. Reward behaviors you want in others. Ignore or withhold validation from behaviors you don't. This subtly trains others to treat you in ways that serve your interests. Two halves of the power game. Passive/illusory half. How you appear and carry yourself. Calm confidence, self-presentation, subtle cues in body language and social behavior. This builds the illusion of strength. Active/substantive half. Tangible resources that back up the illusion. Wealth, skills, talents, influence, social capital, aptitude. These give real weight to your presence, the power to act, not just seem. Knowledge versus applied power. Knowledge in itself is inert. It's potential, not force. Power works the same way. If you cannot apply it effectively, it's dead weight. What matters is the ability to wield both knowledge and power so they produce real effects. Strategic lesson. Bluff and deterrence are tools. Understand their nature, use them wisely. Build both illusion, appearance, and substance, resources, so your presence commands respect. Don't hoard knowledge or potential power. Train yourself to apply them, or they remain useless. In short, power is half illusion, half substance. Bluffs and deterrence shape perception, but without real resources and the skill to wield them, both knowledge and power are wasted. 3. Judgment, self-perception, and self-discipline. If you're unsure what to prioritize, the foundation of your focus should be growth in personal power. That means aligning yourself with people and opportunities that can strengthen your position rather than drain it. Investing heavily in those who bring you nothing of value, whether practical, intellectual, or emotional, reveals insecurity and poor judgment. To consistently give your time and energy to the powerless is to risk being dragged down with them. It signals to both yourself and others that you lack influence. While occasional acts of generosity can project strength, living among or identifying with the needy too closely risks making you one of them. People judge not only by the company you keep, but by how much the judgments of others affect you. The opinions of the powerless should bounce off you as irrelevant. This doesn't require cruelty, but it does require distance. Unless you are strong enough to use charity as a display of benevolence to reinforce your reputation, attachment to the weak diminishes you. Do not invest in the powerless. Giving weight to the opinions of those without power or potential yields no return. The exception lies in recognizing hidden potential. Like a stock undervalued by the market, a person with the possibility of growth may be worth your attention. Not disappointing yourself in an endeavor is an act of self-validation. Self-esteem validates itself when you meet your own objectives and impress yourself by doing so. At the core of low self-esteem lies a lack of self-discipline. Repeated personal failure creates a negative feedback loop, the inverse of narcissism, what might be called anti-narcissism, breeding insecurity and poor self-worth. This loop convinces the psyche that it is intrinsically useless by the mere absence of achievement. Failure compounds, each recurrence reinforcing the belief of inadequacy. Without discipline, a person becomes what they fear, lowly and powerless. This cycle produces learned helplessness, crystallizing into a belief of unworthiness that strips away personal power. With no faith in themselves, such individuals cling to others parasitically, telling themselves they just can't do it alone. Quick bullet points for clarity. Fulfilling your own objectives builds self-validation and self-esteem. Low self-discipline is the root of low self-esteem. Repeated failure creates a negative feedback loop of insecurity and poor self-worth. Anti-narcissism. This loop reinforces the belief of being useless, leading to momentary helplessness that compounds over time. Lack of self-control breeds learned helplessness, eroding personal power. Without belief in themselves, individuals may cling to others parasitically for support. To escape this trap, start small. Choose an action, follow through, and repeat until it becomes a habit. As repetition hardens into skill, you naturally refine technique. Competence creates confidence, and confidence creates power. Successes, even minor ones, feed self-respect and generate momentum. Without discipline, you remain stagnant. With discipline, you accumulate strength. Confidence and power are intertwined. You can feign confidence without power. This is bluffing. But true power cannot exist without confidence. Confidence projects authority even when people cannot see the foundation beneath it. To others, it is assumed to be the natural byproduct of strength. In this sense, confidence itself is power, a force that shapes perception, commands respect, and opens doors long before your results speak for themselves. Actionable steps. Decide what you are going to do. Start by just doing stuff to build momentum. Repeat with intent until it develops into a healthy habit. As the habit becomes natural, refine your technique and skill. Doing something well gives you power, confidence, certainty, and pride. Respect for yourself grows as you prove your usefulness through action. Confidence fuels power. Without confidence, there is no true power. Confidence itself can be perceived as power, even when it begins as appearance. 4. Silence, underminers, and reputation platforms. Sometimes the most powerful move is silence. Acting simply to relieve discomfort is a mistake. By refusing to validate irrelevant attacks, you deny your detractors a platform. Every response you give to saboteurs lends them credibility. Silence deprives them of oxygen. It is not necessary to destroy a detractor, but you must refuse to validate their attempts to rise at your expense. To acknowledge them is to lend credibility to their ideas, however banal or asinine, by giving their criticism a platform. This is the subtle utility of censorship. Not silencing by force, but by refusal to engage, leaving them no avenue to attach themselves to your reputation and gain power through it. The appearance of such detractors can signal that you are doing well, that your success has been noticed and deemed threatening. When others feel threatened, it is often a sign you are gaining power, though it may also mean you have violated a law of power, such as outshining the master. Always remain situationally self-aware. When those who oppose you invest their energy into hatefully disagreeing with you, it is, in its ironic perversity, the closest thing to a compliment they can give. By forcing them to act on emotion, you draw power from their reactions. Negative energy is still energy, and all energy fuels the reach of an idea. It creates platforms, builds visibility, and through the flamboyancy of detractive hatred, your cause gains recognition. To the dismay of the jealous critic and obsessive saboteur, their attacks bring you more supporters, more attention, and greater notoriety. Acknowledgement is the fuel of social status. Even gods, unproven and fictional though they may be, drew power through acknowledgement within civilization. Never underestimate recognition and validation, for together they form reputation, the cornerstone of power. Reputation outweighs reality itself in the exercise and protection of power. Like confidence, it is soft power made manifest, and often more decisive than hard power. You gain power in two ways: by doing things effectively in themselves, or by undermining the power of others. These are two distinct paths. The first is creative, building yourself up so high that you tower over opposition. The second is destructive, toppling reputations until others fall beneath you. You either outbuild the competition through accomplishment, or you sabotage theirs while guarding your own. If you are neither powerful nor worthy of investment, no one will waste breath on you. They will not even criticize. They will ignore your existence. Hate is a reactionary emotion, born of fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of losing power, fear of wasted effort, or fear of poor investment. To be hated is to be recognized as relevant, for irrelevance inspires no reaction at all. Key points. Sometimes the best move is silence. Do nothing without intent. Ignore irrelevant detractors. Validating them lends credibility to their sabotage. Indirect censorship, refusing to engage, denies enemies a platform to exploit your reputation. Opposition often signals that you are gaining power or threatening others. Hate and criticism, even if negative, generate energy and recognition that fuel your platform. Acknowledgement and reputation are forms of soft power, often more important than reality itself. Power can be gained through two methods: creative, build yourself higher through achievement; destructive, reduce others by damaging their reputation. Indifference is the true mark of powerlessness. Hate only arises from fear and threat perception. 5. Legacy, family, and the economics of parental investment. Parents often fear their children failing not only for the child's sake, but because of what it implies about their own lives. A wasted legacy, no return on years of sacrifice, no pride to carry forward. In truth, parental concern often hides a deeper fear: that their own story will end without continuation, that their values and identity will die with them. This dynamic frames family as an economy of investment and return. Time, resources, and emotional labor are poured into children with the expectation, spoken or unspoken, that they will validate the parent's existence by succeeding. Failure feels like betrayal of that investment. Thus, family dynamics are deeply tied to power. Children become extensions of parental identity, and the success or failure of one generation echoes into the pride or shame of the next. Legacy is not simply bloodline. It is the perpetuation of influence and values beyond one's lifetime. To squander it is to strip the parent of symbolic immortality. 6. Concluding statement. Power is the foundation of all human interaction. Pretending otherwise only leaves you vulnerable. Every exchange, whether personal, social, or political, carries its own balance of dominance and submission. Compassion, romance, and ideals may colour the landscape, but beneath it all lies the same game: win or lose, swim or sink. Opting out of the game does not preserve your innocence. It ensures defeat by default. To live is to play, and to play is to wrestle with power.